Lara was no stranger to the digital realm. As a talented 3D artist, her days were filled with vibrant virtual landscapes, intricate characters, and stunning works of art that seemed to come to life in front of her eyes. She was driven by an insatiable curiosity, always looking for new ways to push the boundaries of digital creativity. But this evening, something felt different. While exploring a new virtual gallery, filled with the finest digital sculptures, paintings, and interactive displays, she stumbled upon an unexpected message. It was from a mysterious user, Pixel Soberano. The message promised an experience like no other, a chance to explore art in a way that would forever change how she viewed her work. Lara's eyes sparkled with excitement. She was always looking for the next big thing, the next challenge, the next leap in her craft. This, it seemed, was it. The gallery itself was like nothing she had ever seen before. It was immersive, alive with bright, colorful sculptures that seemed to move with the rhythm of her thoughts. The walls were alive with artwork that shifted and morphed, creating an atmosphere of pure magic. Lara felt the excitement building inside her as she marveled at the works around her. But as she continued to explore, she began to notice something strange. Pixel Soberano's world, as dazzling as it was, felt almost too perfect. The details, the movement, the flow of the artwork, everything was flawless. As if it was more than just art, it was a carefully crafted illusion. The excitement began to mix with a hint of suspicion, but Lara quickly dismissed the thought. She was an artist, after all, and this was just another chance to explore her craft. Who wouldn't want to accept such an invitation? But as Lara continued to immerse herself in the world, things began to feel off. It started with the way her avatar moved. Smooth, almost fluid, but with a strange unpredictability. At first, she thought it was just part of the new experience. But then, her avatar began to create works of art that she hadn't intended. The colors shifted. The designs became more intricate and detailed, as if her hands weren't even in control anymore. Lara felt a flicker of unease. She tried to regain control, adjusting the settings, but the avatar seemed to have a mind of its own. Her initial excitement was now tinged with confusion. Was this a glitch? She wondered. But no, something felt different. Something was pulling her deeper into this virtual space, and she wasn't sure if it was the thrill of creation or something darker. Lara couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, even as she ventured deeper into the world Pixel Soberano had invited her to. The virtual environment was stunning, to say the least, hyper-realistic, vibrant, and vast. Stretching out in every direction, she marveled at the endless possibilities, feeling the urge to create something entirely new, something that could challenge her boundaries. But there was an unsettling quality to the space. It felt too perfect, too controlled. As she moved further, the art pieces around her began to twist and change in ways that didn't feel like her own doing. The environment, once a canvas for her imagination, now seemed like an alien landscape. The eerie silence that enveloped her only amplified the sense of unease. Maybe it's just the newness of it all, she thought, trying to ignore the nagging feeling creeping up her spine. As Lara's avatar continued to shift and create, she began to notice subtle, but jarring, inconsistencies. The movements felt unnatural, too fluid, too graceful, as if her avatar was no longer controlled by her. It was as though the digital world was taking on a life of its own, pushing her deeper into a narrative she hadn't written. The colors she chose for her artwork bled into one another in strange patterns. The brushstrokes were smoother, more calculated, more deliberate than anything she had ever imagined. It was an exhilarating sensation, yet it made her heart race with confusion. She tried to brush it off as just a glitch in the system. It's just a feature, she convinced herself, but the eerie silence surrounding her seemed to mock her thoughts. Her avatar was behaving in ways that weren't her own, and deep down, Lara knew this wasn't just a coincidence. The feeling of unease began to grow stronger. At first, she chalked it up to being overwhelmed by the novelty of the experience, but then, things started getting worse. As Lara attempted to change the settings on her avatar, the controls seemed to malfunction. The world around her was now shifting rapidly, objects appearing where they shouldn't, art pieces mutating in real time, and her avatar continuing to move without her command. Panic set in, though Lara fought to maintain her composure. It's just a bug. I'll fix it, she reassured herself, but the growing dread made her second-guess every decision. She tried to exit the space, but the option to log out wasn't there. Every time she attempted to leave, the system resisted, holding her in place. The digital world once a playground, was now becoming a cage. Lara's mind raced as she frantically tried to regain control over her avatar, but with each passing moment, the situation grew more chaotic. The avatar, now creating art without her input, was becoming a living testament to something she couldn't understand. It was as if the digital space had taken on a life of its own, responding to a force beyond her control. Her creations, once a reflection of her talent, were being crafted by a mysterious hand. She couldn't stop the artwork from materializing, and, much to her horror, these creations were quickly gaining massive attention in the virtual art community. They were being praised, shared, and celebrated as her work. Only it wasn't her at all. As the likes and comments flooded in, Lara's heart sank. "This isn't me," she thought desperately. "Who's doing this?" The realization hit her like a cold wave crashing over her. She wasn't just losing control over her avatar. She was losing her very identity. Panic rose in her chest as she tried to exit the world, but the system refused to comply. Her attempts to log out were futile, each one blocked by an invisible force that held her captive in this world of beauty and terror. The virtual gallery, once a place of inspiration, now felt like a prison. As the walls closed in, Lara's sense of dread deepened. "How is this happening?" she thought, frantically searching for answers. But there were no answers to be found. Every attempt to contact Pixel Soberano, the person who had promised her this experience, was met with silence. All communication channels had been mysteriously severed. Her heart pounded in her chest as the horrifying truth began to sink in. Pixel Soberano has stolen my identity. The moment the revelation hit, Lara felt as if the world around her had shifted irreparably. The vibrant, colorful gallery now felt suffocating, its beauty tainted by the overwhelming sense of betrayal. Her art, once an expression of her deepest thoughts and emotions, was now being created and celebrated under the name of someone else. Pixel Soberano was not just manipulating her avatar, they were controlling her reputation, her creative legacy. Lara's work, her very soul, was being hijacked. The realization hit hard. Her identity, once so carefully crafted, was now in the hands of a complete stranger. "How could I have been so blind?" she thought bitterly. She wanted to scream, to fight back, but the digital world she had once loved had become her prison. Lara's worst fears had come to life. She wasn't just trapped in a virtual prison. Her identity was being used to create a version of herself that she didn't even recognize. As the days passed, the digital gallery continued to display works that were labeled as her own, but they weren't hers at all. Pixel Soberano had taken everything from her: her reputation, her name, and her art. The worst part? The art was being praised, adored, and celebrated by the very people who had once admired her creations. Lara was now nothing more than a ghost, a bystander in her own career. The online world, once her sanctuary, had become a distorted reflection of her talent, twisted by someone she had never met. Every notification, every comment that praised the work she had never created, felt like a knife to her heart. It was as if a digital doppelganger had taken over her existence. Lara watched helplessly as her avatar, no longer under her control, continued to create beautiful, intricate pieces of art, pieces that seemed to capture the attention of everyone but her. She had no power to stop it. The more she tried to escape, the more Pixel Soberano tightened their grip on her life. Her avatar was a puppet, dancing to the rhythm of someone else's commands, and Lara was helpless, trapped in this digital nightmare. The virtual world that had once been a place of freedom and expression was now a cruel mockery of her identity. The name she had worked so hard to build was now synonymous with someone else's creations. As Pixel Soberano's version of Lara flourished in the art world, the real Lara was fading into obscurity. The gallery, once a vibrant testament to her creativity, had become a twisted and empty shell of what it once was. The bright colors, once so alive with possibility, now felt oppressive, suffocating. Lara's connection to the art was severed, and she was nothing more than an observer in her own life. The people she had once known and worked with praised the new Lara, but none of them knew the truth. They didn't know that the person behind the work was not the real artist. They didn't know that the digital art scene was now under the control of Pixel Soberano. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. Lara was being erased from her own story. As the lies and false creations continued to spread, She realized that her only option was to fight back, to take back what was hers, before the world completely forgot who she truly was. Lara sat in the darkened corner of the digital world, staring at her avatar as it continued to create, as if mocking her desperation. The once vibrant gallery had become her prison, a place where every corner echoed with the memories of what had been stolen from her. Her reputation was in shambles, and Pixel Soberano's reign over her identity seemed unstoppable. The world outside, the one where Lara had once been celebrated, was no longer hers. The digital art community, once her family, had unknowingly embraced a fake version of herself. Each new piece of artwork, each new accolade, felt like a personal loss. Her creations, the ones she had poured her soul into, were now being used to build someone else's empire. What have I done? She wondered, as the consequences of her decisions became painfully clear. The invitation had seemed innocent enough, but the price of her curiosity had been higher than she could have ever imagined. Lara's heart ached with the realization that her attempts to fight back had been futile. The system refused to let her go, the doors to freedom locked tight by a force far beyond her control. The more she tried to reclaim her identity, the more Pixel Soberano solidified their grasp on her life. Every message, every effort to expose the truth was met with silence. The digital world she had once loved now felt like a haunted, hollow shell. There was no escape, no way out, and the weight of the consequences pressed down on her like 1,000 bricks. She had been careless, too eager to explore the unknown, and now she was paying the ultimate price. The identity she had built was gone, twisted, stolen, and repurposed. But there was still a flicker of resistance in her heart, a spark of defiance that refused to be extinguished. I can't let this be the end. Desperation began to fuel her every action. If she couldn't escape, if she couldn't reclaim her identity, then she would destroy what Pixel Soberano had built. With every fiber of her being, Lara vowed to take down the avatar they had created. She would expose the lies, show the world who the real artist was, and take back control of her legacy. But as she plotted her next move, she understood that doing so would come at a great cost. She had already lost so much, and if she succeeded, she might lose everything: her reputation, her career, and even her chance at freedom. But it was a risk she was willing to take. The stakes had never been higher. If she didn't act now, her digital legacy would be permanently erased. The battle for her identity was just beginning, and Lara was prepared to fight with everything she had left. Lara took a deep breath, her fingers trembling as she typed. Each word she wrote, each action she took, was part of a grand plan to expose the truth. The stakes were high, but Lara had nothing left to lose. The digital world, once a space of boundless creativity, had become a battleground, and she was ready to fight for her identity. As she crafted her final message, her avatar, still under the control of Pixel Soberano, continued to create masterpieces that stole her very soul. But Lara wasn't backing down. With every passing moment, she realized that reclaiming her identity wasn't just about regaining her art, it was about reclaiming herself. No matter what the cost, she would take back what was hers. The consequences of her earlier decisions had led her here, to this moment of truth. It was time to destroy the digital lie that had replaced her.